the group, I know you've been excited about your guys ever since we talked about the Bad Five or whatever, back in camp. But are you at all surprised that your young group of players was good enough to where you actually traded away Rashad Fenton, who's a starter for you guys? Have you been amazed or anything like with your group? Was that good to where you could actually get rid of a guy who was kind of counted on to be a starter?
Well, first of all, to Rashad Fenton's defense, I think, number one, when that all came down, that was above my pay grade. And so when you look at this group as a whole, the 5 guys that we brought in here, all 5 of these guys have had opportunities to help the defense and help the team. And so I'm not surprised at all that they're playing the way that they're playing because, again, faceless opponent in front of us, and that's how we go about it, and that's how we attack it. And so each guy goes out there and try their best to play the technique that's asked of them, and don't make it bigger than what it is, and just trying to teach them concepts constantly. That right there is the one learning curve that the young guys are having to adjust versus the older guys that's been with me is just teaching the concepts. And so, but not surprised.
You use the term faceless opponent. I mean, obviously, you're not going to cover a 5'7" slot guy the same way you're going to cover Mike Williams, right? What are some of the challenges of Mike Williams and,
Size, his catch radius. I mean, so the guy can catch the ball in a radius that most guys cannot because of his size and his arm length. Some of the throws, when you go back to even when Jalen Watson was covering them, the ball placement where Herbert put the ball was in a spot where Mike could only catch it. The one touchdown he caught on LJ, that was down low. I mean, how many quarterbacks can actually place that same ball? Actually, Josh Allen did the same thing on Joshua Williams when he threw it to Diggs. It was the same low ball placement. So guys like Mike, with his size, presents the challenge of trying to, if you get into his body, now is can you out physical him in tracking the football? But when Herbert puts the ball where he was putting it at times, I mean, Watson was in pretty good coverage. It's pretty tough.
You said pretty good coverage. I mean, I think there's some fans that think that you guys are draped all over him. I mean, like, you have great coverage, and he keeps coming down to the ball. I mean, fans would say they can't figure it out. That's like unlucky. I mean, you look at it and say, I don't know, there's not much else I can tell you. You're right there.
Well, just like you just did when Michael Jordan was scoring 60 points. It's like, okay, I'm covering him, but what else can I do? You're right there in his face. You're right into his chest. It's only great coverage if you can get the ball out. And so my process for these young men to grasp is to not only be in position to make the plays, but then once you're in position, can you complete the assignment? And on those throws, although the ball may have been placed in a certain radius, I have to teach these young men to get in a position to make that play. It's a lot easier when you're going one hand to glove a football versus trying to go 2 hands. Even that right there, the extension is different. And so it's trying to teach them all the little small details, which is the NFL, 90% mental, where we all have a couple of friends back home who runs a nice 40, who can jump, but do they have the mental capacity to understand what we're trying to teach them and then go out and execute it? Not many guys can, and that's why they're not where these young players are today in the NFL. So we're getting better.
You mentioned Mike Williams, but it looks like they might also have Keenan Allen this week.
They will. They will.
What are some of the challenges? Williams is physical, but what are you telling the young guys about Keenan Allen who didn't play in week 2?
Yep. As a North Carolina guy like myself, Keenan Allen, I think he was from Greensboro. This young man, what he brings to the table is a change of suddenness to his game. Up in the air, skipping, and moves that players haven't seen. So when you go in and you're facing a slot receiver, like some of the ones that we've faced in the past, Keenan Allen is a totally different monster. Although he may not be the fastest, but the way he plays and how he creates separation is just Kelsey on the field. He has a way to get in and out of breaks, and the quarterback can put it in a radius area where he can catch the ball. So his suddenness in and out, stop and go, is something that we haven't faced. So that's the biggest challenge with him is, as we were watching film this morning on him, it's just his change of pace within a small radius. he doesn't have to go down the field and beat you on a 30-yard catch because he can eat you up with first downs in critical situations on 3rd and short because of his ability to create separation.
Couple more.
The crowd for the Chiefs tend to go travel well, and being at SoFi Stadium, do you think it's plays some advantage that half the crowd is actually red, and that it can maybe help some of the young guys with some of the crowd noise and maybe disrupt some of that stuff?
Absolutely, that would help, and I hope that the entire Red Nation comes out to this game because, again, I was showing them the entire group this morning, 3rd down when they were going silent count versus Denver. Obviously, there was a lot of Broncos fans there, so hopefully that can, show up for us as well. Normally, when you travel away, the quarterback on offense has a quieter crowd. He can get all of his checks. They can hear our checks. But when our fans travel with us, it makes it that much more difficult for the opposing quarterback to be able to get in and out of checks. And so, come on, Red Nation, let's go. We need you all of us.
Coach, I know you're not, Red Beach and the scouting.
Yes, sir.
Scouting. They talk to you about different guys. You've got a good tackling group at corner. That's kind of been something that's been here for a while. How much of that is you're not going to take a guy unless he has that in him?
Yeah.
How much of that is something that you can instruct and maybe even will into a guy to make him, willing to put his nose in there and be a good tackler?
Yeah, fortunately, this young group that we have, and you guys are seeing the tape, these guys, you just teach them a couple of techniques and get them better on angles, such as stepping to contact, such as creating a hard joint down, same foot, same shoulder, when you're going to approach blockers and tacklers. But these young men came here with some techniques and some willingness to tackle, which is great. But now the flip side of that coin is he a dog or not? Is he a guy that's willing to go down and stick his shoulder pad in there? Back when I was playing, they said the other word, which you can't say, F-A-C-E. Now you have to say shoulder pad. So the thing is that all these guys are willing to stick their pads in there and be ready to wrap up. And, the corners have done a fantastic job, from Joshua Williams to L.J. Sneed to Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson. So I commend all of them, their coaches that coached them before they even got here to this point. And so I'm just trying to help them.
Sorry, Dave, does the guy have to have the willingness to do that?
He does.
For you guys?
He does. I played for Buddy Ryan, and Buddy Ryan, if you couldn't tackle, or if we weren't willing to tackle, you were not going to be on the team. And so, but these guys here, you don't have to browbeat them into tackling. They're willing to do it.
You mentioned Trent. He missed a chunk of games. Seems like he's right back, like he never left. So what are you seeing from him?
Trent, smooth athlete. Everything that was spoken about him in the spring, it's all showing up again. Young man is going outside and he's challenging throws. He made some good plays. He did give up the one pass down the sideline in the game the other day, but he was in a position to make the play. But just smooth and fluid in his movements and very smart. He understands. He's not a repeat offender. And I was telling the entire group today, every mistake that you don't learn from will be repeated. That's just with all of us in life. So I have to continue to remember to put the toilet seat down after 31 years, because if not, I'm going to keep getting smacked in my hand from my wife. So we all have to just learn from our mistakes, but this kid is not a repeat offender. Not saying that he's perfect, but he does a great job. He does a great job.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, thank you.